Uganda has diverse ethnic composition, and the 1995 Ugandan Constitution lists these groups in the third schedule to recognize them as Ugandan citizens. However, 4 groups, the Maragori, Bagabo, Bachingwe and Benet, are not in the Constitution, which puts the communities at risk of being stateless. These groups are defined by their characteristics. They live in extremely underserved, remote and marginalized areas, and their survival depends on their rights to land.
Many of our ethnic minorities that are within the Renzo region, actually they were squeezed out of their land by the creation of Queen Elizabeth National Park.
Of petitioning the National Court of Law to enable us as minorities assert our rights, because I don't see Uganda government giving us back.
Ugandan sleeping in verandas, paying a fee of 2,000 per night just to access a sleep in somebody's veranda.
Some of these groups, like the Ik and Tipeth in Karamoja region and Benet in Kapchora, are facing widespread conflict and insecurity and persistent violation of their human rights, contrary to Sustainable Development Goal 16 that advocates for peace, justice and strong institutions.
If I quote an example of the Benet community, who are technically lost their habitats, which was Mount Elgon. These are the people who will tell you that if they move and stray into the conserved area, they will talk of shooting from the Uganda Wildlife Authority forces. They will talk of impounding of their cattle, and it becomes kind of a game of extortion.
Majority of these ethnic minority and indigenous people are homeless, as they were evicted from their ancestral land in the name of conservation, like Chidepo National Park and Mount Elgon.
Saying that government should not conserve Mount Elgon, the conservation must be an understanding between the communities who formerly occupied those spaces, to continue using basic resources without exploiting them, to understand how to conserve alongside with the government. Minorities, as long as the government is not identifying them as a category, a special category, like the way we call them special interest groups, call them a special interest group. So like the way we say elderly.
The country representative office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Robert Kotshani, says respect of human rights must go hand in hand with inclusion.
There is a memorandum, an agreement that exists between OPM, the National Authority, National Planning Authority, UBOS, which is the institution in charge of statistics, and the Uganda Human Rights Commission. So now when we are collecting data, we are going to make sure, have we taken into account indigenous populations? Are minorities also represented in the data we are having in terms of segregation of this data?
The Office of the Prime Minister has organized a symposium on ethnic minority and sustainable development goals.
Not to be left behind, it includes the farthest people. The farthest people who are always left behind as the minorities.
Government has developed a national affirmative action program for indigenous ethnic minority in Uganda, but have limited data on these groups. Therefore, urge MDAs to conduct more research. I'm Navka Farida and Stephen Kalisia.